Welcome back to the table. I am so glad that you have joined me. I'm glad that you're here, whether in your car or watching online. My question is, do you have someone with you? If you don't, send this episode to a friend, and I want you to have a conversation afterwards. Remember, the idea is to be around the table with people having conversations, because that is where growth is going to happen. So today's episode, here is the thought that I want to throw out to you. In order for you to win at life, you must be confident in your ability as a playmaker. See, you are the playmaker of your life. Your life, this journey that you're on, you have been handpicked and positioned to be the playmaker, the one that scores the goals, the one that leads the team, the one that directs life to win. You have been created to be that person. My question to you today, are you confident in yourself as the playmaker of your life? See, a playmaker has the freedom to control the flow of the game. The playmaker is often involved in the offense and the defense. They're vital on the field, and their abilities, their creativity, it's vital in the ability to score goals for the team. Your ability to score goals, your ability to cross the finish line of your life is vital for you to win. See, you are the quarterback. You're the point guard. You are the star of the show. I know we've all had thoughts and feelings when we were younger, wishing that we could be the star of something. If you were a young boy, you probably dreamed of being the point guard or the quarterback. If you were in my family, in a pilot's family, you want to be number 5 on the Thunderbirds. I don't know. It's the guy that calls out the plays. It's the man in the cockpit that's directing people and directing the formations and where to go. If you were a young girl, maybe you wanted to be the star of a musical one day. Maybe you were in dance and a ballerina and you dreamed about what it would look like to have the spotlight on you and being the star of the show. I want you to know you are the star of your show. It doesn't matter what anyone else has said to you, what life has thrown your way. I'm here to tell you, you are the playmaker of your journey. There's no one else that can do that for you. Why? Because God's created you to be the playmaker and the star for your show for such a time as this. I can't do that for you. So a playmaker is going to make plays. I remember in basketball, my daughter played basketball, and in basketball, as a point guard, the point guard would listen to the coach. They would hear what the play that the coach called. Then the point guard would call out that play to the players on the field. And then the point guard would take the ball up the court. And the whole time, the point guard is standing strong against opposition, and they're having to navigate around people while the team goes down the court to set up the play, and they're waiting. The point guard's waiting for all of this to happen, and the playmaker, they're confident in their position. They know what they're looking for, and they're waiting for the setup. And at the right time, they pass the ball to score a goal. Are you confident in your position as a playmaker? You have everything that it takes. See, my daughter, we discovered that she loved basketball right before her junior high year. And she was playing basketball with some friends, and she was athletic. She loved to be outdoors. She loved anything that was a sport. And so it wasn't surprising to us that she enjoyed playing ball. But we didn't know. I was not a ball player. My husband was not a basketball player. And so we knew enough, but we weren't ex-basketball stars to help pave the way for her. So we had a friend of ours that her daughter was a point guard on the high school team, and she so lovingly scooped Madison up and really helped us get our foot in the door on the junior high basketball team. So Madison tries out, she gets on the team, and she starts playing. Now remember, Madison never had any official training. We were not the family that came in she had been in basketball since she was in preschool, and we didn't have the money to give her private lessons. And she was just kind of raw talent out there on the basketball court doing what she knew to do. So I remember sitting in the stands and watching her, and she was so confident. And it was so fun as a mom. Listen, I was the screaming mother in the stands. Not probably a finer moment of mine, but I was that mom. I got so excited, and then I turned into like someone that knew how to coach, which was not true. I did not know what I was doing, but listen, if you're a mom, you know what I'm talking about. You're in the stands and you just all of a sudden think you have divine wisdom from God and you know how to coach the team. Anyway, so I was so proud of her though, as she played this game. She was confident on the field and like on the court, and she oftentimes played as the point guard, and it was just wonderful. She was confident, but she was also strong. Madison is a very strong individual. I'll never forget one time she was playing in high school, and there was a girl that was fouling her over and over again, and it was frustrating her. And I could see the frustration building on the court. And I'm like, oh no, this is not going to turn out good. And one particular game, the coach asked Madison to foul someone. Remember, I don't know the game of basketball that well. And so it was 4 points and for her to get on the free throw line, the whole thing. Madison took it as an opportunity to foul this girl so hard. Oh my goodness. She pushed this girl, I'm not kidding, 10 feet, almost back. 10 feet, I don't know. She pushed this girl almost back to the half court line. It was incredible. The whole crowd, you could hear them like gasp. She almost got a technical. No, she did get a technical. Yeah, she did. So she couldn't do the free throw thing. It was crazy. She's strong. Needless to say, she's a strong girl. But she was confident. She was strong. She could withstand in those early junior high years, like defenders that would come on. But she didn't know the techniques. She didn't know all the rules of the game. So soon into this junior high career of hers, for lack of better words, her coach began to get really upset because she was making foolish decisions and she wasn't doing things right. And he started yelling like most coaches do. But the yelling progressed into humiliation. And his way of getting the job done was to make other players feel really small. So won't go into all of that, but he was not nice. And I watched Madison's confidence on the court when she started as this young girl that was just, all she knew was just to make plays. That's all she knew. And she loved it. I saw her confidence begin to dwindle on the court, where now when she would get out on the court to play and to be the playmaker of that particular game, I could see her just swallowed up in fear. And she no longer was a confident playmaker, but she was so fearful of the coach on the sidelines yelling at her that she was not strong on the court, that she made so many mistakes. And soon she was like pulled off and she was benched. And it was heartbreaking as a mom. It was heartbreaking to watch my daughter, the playmaker that had everything in her to be an amazing playmaker, be berated and beaten down, where now she's sitting on the sidelines of a game that she loved to play. So we navigated through that. And one summer, a friend of ours said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to a couple of coaches, and they have a traveling basketball team. I think Madison would be a great fit." And so we talked with Madison, we talked with them, and we decided, she tried out, she made the team, and she began to practice. Well, these two coaches changed my daughter's life. And these coaches saw my daughter, a girl on the court that loved the game of ball, that was strong, that had the ability to see the court, had the ability to look down and watch plays and know what needed to come about and how to make points. But what they also saw was a girl that was completely beaten up with life, that had no confidence at all, that was fearful to do anything. And so this one particular coach, KJ was his name, he scooped Madison up and he began to treat her as a person and the person that she was created to be, instead of someone that produced something for him. And I watched him through several summers with Madison, pull her to the side when Madison would mess up, and she would have so much shame and anger on herself, and he would pull her to the side, and before the conversation was over, they're both laughing and giggling, and I can see the fear leave Madison, and she gets back out on the court and as the position of the playmaker again, and she makes a play. And sometimes during practice, they're doing drills and Madison would mess up and she would be so angry, and he knew how to make her laugh. He knew when she got so angry because she wasn't perfect as a playmaker, that he could give her a look on the court or say a funny joke that was an inside joke, and it broke that perfection off of her and she could enjoy the game again. Recently, I asked my daughter about this to refresh my memory, because I was in the stands watching and I was at practices watching, but I wasn't in those conversations with them. And I asked her to explain to me what it was that was the shift for her, because her confidence began to come back and her joy for the game began to come back. And she said, "Mom, he coached me as a person. He learned who I was and he pulled out the best in me on the court." And I think sometimes in life, I know for me and Madison, how she dealt with things, the game of life sometimes can just beat out our confidence. But she needed a coach to come in and to come close and to remind her who she was. That it didn't matter if she made the goal. It didn't matter if she messed up in that moment, because it didn't change who she was. It might have shown the coach that she needed to practice a skill to get better at that particular in that particular game, or maybe she needed to work on dribbling with her left hand so the ball wouldn't get taken from her. But it didn't. Her inability to do something on the court did not change who she was made to be. And I want to remind you, that playmaker, that what you see around you, that maybe the mess ups of life that you've done, maybe you've passed the ball to the wrong person, or maybe you've held the ball too long, or maybe life feels like it's come in and knocked the ball out of your hands. It doesn't mean that the person that you were created to be is gone. It doesn't mean that those mess ups make you unable to be the playmaker. No. What's required is for a coach to come in, to kneel down, to come close, and to remind you of who you are. See, I think that it is vital for us to know who our ultimate coach is. It's Jesus. God the Father created you. I love Ephesians 1 and 2 because it reminds us that we are created in Him before the foundation of the world. That Jesus went to the cross to say that not only did I create you and knitted you together in your mother's womb once, that I am going to go to the cross and I'm going to go before you and I'm going to adopt you back into sonship, and I'm still your father. I still accept you and I still love you. That the person that you were created to be in your mother's womb still stands the same. I love Ephesians 2. In my Bible, the NIV, it says, made alive in Christ as the heading. You are made alive in Him. And I think if we don't know who our coach is, who our God is, that we will not be able to stand strong confidently when life comes our way. When a friend says something about us that hurts us, when disease comes crashing into our home, when we're grieving the loss of a loved one, and we don't know how to be the playmaker anymore because our world has changed. You have to remember that you were created as a playmaker in God the Father first. You were created by Him and in Him, separate from your circumstances. Remember, the coach that changed Madison's life, KJ, he entered into her world to remind her of who she was, not of what she could do. And man, there's been so many times that I can remember that I have felt less than, that I have forgotten that I am a playmaker, that I wonder, God, I don't know that I have the ability to be a playmaker anymore. And I don't even know what my talents, gifts, and abilities are. I feel empty. I don't feel like I have what it takes. And the things that I have to do to remind me of who I am, I have to do a few things. I've got to go back and I have to look over the testimony of my life. I've got to remember, where did God show up and show out in such a way that He highlighted me as the playmaker? What did I do through Christ that was so beyond my own strength? I look around to the things that I do every single day that feel natural to me and feel comfortable to me. I review the testimony of my life to remind myself, no, Natalie, you are a playmaker in Christ. He has not left you, but you are still the playmaker of your life. Something else that I think we've got to do, if we feel like we're wondering, if we feel like we're Madison, that life has beaten us up, that people have abused us in the process and we don't know who we are, we go back to the Bible. I think sometimes I haven't seen the fullness of my life yet. And so maybe I don't know what I'm even believing for, but man, the Word shows me what God can do. And so I have something to stand on and to believe who He is. And it brings hope and courage in my life. And it reminds me I am a playmaker. Another thing that you can do when you feel like you are down and out, when you feel like life has benched you, that you don't have what it takes and you're covered in fear and you don't know how to get off the bench, but you so desperately want to be back in life and be the playmaker of your life. Surround yourself with people that know you for who you are. See, KJ had to learn Madison's authentic identity, not her abilities in her performance on the court. He had to learn who she was. I'm sure there are people around you today that know who you are, maybe just one. Maybe it's a mother or a father or a friend or a sibling. Maybe it's a counselor. Maybe it's a pastor. Is there someone around you that you can say, I feel like I have been benched in life? Can you remind me of who God says that I am? Man, I've had so many powerful encounters with family and friends as I'm weeping, saying, I don't have what it takes. They say, no, Natalie, you do. And let me remind you of who you are. And I leave with such hope and such confidence. Remember, no matter what happened on the court, Madison's coach did not let that waver his ability to cheer her on. I am standing here today cheering you on, saying, remember, friend, you are a playmaker. So you've remembered who you are in Christ. You know that you have gifts, talents, and abilities that are inside of you. And for some of you, you might say, I don't even know what game I'm playing. I don't even know what court I'm on. Let me remind you that you have gifts, talents, and abilities inside of you that can point in the right direction. That you have a coach. Remember, God the Father, you have a coach that loves you so much that he can redirect you to the right playing field. So it makes me think of this. This is another question. I remember, I don't know a lot about basketball. I've just been the mom in the stands acting as if I'm the coach, okay? But I think about two different ways of playing ball. I think about a pickup game, and I think about a sanctioned game in a tournament. And I think too many times we maybe know the sport that we need to play. We know the direction that we need to go. We have a good sense of our life. And we could say, maybe you could say, no, I know that I'm the playmaker. I know the direction that I'm headed. I'm pretty confident in that. But I want to ask you this question. Are you playing a pickup game of ball? The kind of game that you see other people playing and you gather some friends together, or you know that people meet at a certain time at a certain place and you can play pickup ball. See, there's different rules to the pickup ball game. And when you engage in a game of pickup ball, I'm sure there's probably a better word for that. Maybe you can tell me. But when you engage in that game, you kind of come in and you have to jockey for position a little bit. You kind of got to show your stuff. It's a little bit of winner takes all. It's an individual sport, but yet played with other people. You kind of navigate and find your spot on the court as you play. It's a lot of fun, but it's a little chaotic, but you really have to do it on your own. When you're in a sanctioned game of basketball, the coach comes to you before the game and says, you are going to be the point guard. So you know at that moment your authority on the court. I think when we engage in a game of pickup ball, because our friends are doing it or because it seems like it's the right thing, we often question our position in the game of life. We question our position on the court, and instead of being confident as a playmaker because we've been appointed, we're wondering and fearful and trying hard and people pleasing and trying to be perfect to make our mark that we're good enough. When a sanctioned game, the coach comes before and says, you are the playmaker today. Your game, your journey of life, God has come to you and said, you are the playmaker. And son and daughter, I am here to help you make the plays happen. Remember, he's our coach. He's the coach of all coaches. He knows every play in the book. And as we're standing out as the point guard, as the playmaker on the field, that we are looking over at the sideline. We are looking over at our coach and we are saying, Coach, give me the play. I'm ready. See, we know the plays. And as soon as our coach calls out the play, we immediately put into motion the play on the field. Your coach, God the Father, is saying, son and daughter, I am so proud of you and you have everything it takes to be a playmaker. Look at me. Listen to me. I have the perfect play at the perfect time. So in the next few episodes, we are going to talk about the important roles of being a playmaker and how those roles and the different skills and abilities and what it takes to be a playmaker, how that plays out in our life. But I want to leave you with this today, that you are a playmaker, that you are valuable and you have everything that it takes to be the star of your show. That you have a coach that is willing to kneel down in front of you today and is willing to get messy in your world to draw out the confident player that you are again. So I encourage you to lean in, look him in the eyes, listen to what he's saying. Let him remind you of who you are, because he's created you for such a time as this. From one playmaker to another, you've got this. Go play the game that is called your life with a coach of all coaches and watch it turn out beautifully. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I hope that something has taken a root inside of you that's maybe shifted something on the inside of you that you would say, you're right, I am a playmaker. I might not know how to get off the bench and back in the game, but I can tell you that I'm a playmaker. Man, I hope you have an awesome day. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and that you begin to view yourself as the playmaker that you are. So until next time, more playmaker talk. I'll see you soon.